Poet Archibald MacLeish lost his brother in World War I. He later imagined his brother speaking to the living. They say we were young. We have died. Remember us.
My mother got a call on the phone that my father had been killed. You don't believe it could happen to you, you know? You keep hoping it was a mistake.
They say our deaths are not ours. They are yours. They will mean what you make them.
My uncle's sacrifice and those of 400,000+ other Americans was the price that we paid for freedom.
He did say, I'm going to war to protect us, you and me, so we can have a good life.
They say whether our lives and our deaths were for peace and a new hope, or for nothing, we cannot say.
We are taking care of our war dead. It became our tasking to make sure that they are honored properly and everything is as beautiful as it can be.
When I look over that sea of crosses and stars of David, it really brings home what that means.
They say we leave you our deaths. Give them their meaning. Remember us.
It provides a finality and it provides an environment that we can now picture, and that's important too. The next of kin who come there with the intent of seeing one man, but are faced with thousands.
From the beginning, this has been the task of the American Battle Monuments Commission, to ensure that what they did here will never be forgotten. Every headstone in every cemetery and every name listed on tablets of the missing tells a story, not only a story of loss, but also one of service and sacrifice. The role of the ABMC is to make sure those stories are preserved, told, and remembered. In 1917, the United States entered a war in Europe for the first time. Well over 100,000 Americans died in World War I. A proud yet melancholy task began, recovering, identifying, and laying to rest America's fallen. A critical question arose: should their remains all be repatriated, or should they be buried near the battlefields where they fell and rest in peace with their comrades? Former President Theodore Roosevelt's own beloved son, Quentin, had been killed in aerial combat over France. The president wrote, "Mrs. Roosevelt and I have always believed that where the tree falls, there let it lie. We greatly prefer that Quentin shall continue to lie on the spot where he fell in battle." Their wishes were honored. Families were given the choice. The remains of their loved ones could be brought home or buried overseas.
My grandparents opted to leave my father's body in Belgium, and I'm really glad they did. I can't think of a more beautiful place for him to be.
It was appropriate for him to be near the men he fought with.
And they both decided that let him be where he died, with his buddies that he died with.
General John Pershing was the commander of the American Expeditionary Forces in World War I. After the armistice, he and others worked to find a way to commemorate the American dead. In 1923, an act of Congress created the American Battle Monuments Commission. Its mission was simple but difficult: to honor the service, achievements, and sacrifice of thousands of fallen Americans on a continent far away. The new agency's initial role was to construct monuments paying homage to the achievements of the American Expeditionary Forces. Soon after, the ABMC was given the additional task of building chapels at each of the American military cemeteries in Europe. The agency helped design and landscape these burial grounds, creating places of special beauty and serenity. In 1930, the United States government began sponsoring an extraordinary kind of pilgrimage. It invited Gold Star mothers and the widows of soldiers killed in action to visit the final resting places of sons and husbands. Veteran Army officers acted as tour guides. over 6,000 Gold Star pilgrims found solace and closure in these journeys.
Back then, travel was very expensive and very difficult, so for these widows and mothers, it was the first and probably last time they would visit their loved ones' graves. And so we had to make sure that we escorted them and gave them what they needed to visit the graves.
In 1934, the role of the ABMC changed forever. President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued an executive order making the agency responsible for maintaining American military burial grounds overseas. This assignment has been carried out with meticulous devotion ever since. Today, the American Battle Monuments Commission maintains World War I burial grounds, memorials, markers, and monuments across Western Europe. People from many nations are a major part of the agency's work and spirit.
The American government takes care of everything here, but we can't do that without our local workers, no matter what country we're in.
Their connection is very strong. We have several second-generation employees here whose fathers worked here as well.
You can really see what the staff here does, and they put their hearts into it and care for the grounds and the headstones and the markers of all the individuals here.
They are out in the weather, no matter what. If it's hot, if it's freezing cold, rain or snow, they are out there taking care of all the cemetery grounds. Everything you see over there is taken care of by the crew, and I am really proud of what they can do.
World War I was called the war to end all wars. It brought so many new technologies of destruction and cost so many lives that many believed another global war would be impossible. But the idea of lasting peace turned out to be a forlorn hope. Just a generation later, America and the world were again forced into war. This time, the United States countered aggression and inhumanity in both Europe and the Pacific. More than 400,000 Americans gave their lives.
When men ship out for war, they have to understand the gravity of what's ahead. But I would think he was probably hoping that he would get home to his wife and daughter and family. That I'll do my job, and then I'll come back.
It's a circumstance that had to be debilitating to most of our men, and yet they persevered.
They laid down their lives. They sacrificed literally everything for unknowns. They gave freedom to the world.
Today, the ABMC maintains memorial sites and burial grounds in over 24 places in Europe, Africa, and the Pacific to honor those who served in World War II. American service in foreign lands did not begin with World War I nor end with World War II. The ABMC maintains cemeteries and memorials that honor Americans who died in Mexico in the 1840s, in Cuba in 1898, in the construction of the Panama Canal in the early 20th century. In the years since World War II, America has again called on its citizens to serve and fight in many parts of the world. These too we honor. The scope of the ABMC has changed, but its purpose has not. It's a long thread that connects history from over a century ago to the present. A thread of commemoration, the need to comfort and inspire the living by honoring the dead. Since 1923, the American Battle Monuments Commission has helped us understand the meaning of our history, what happened, and why.
You can't know it until you feel the breeze and see those crosses row on row and realize how profound those deaths were.
It is exquisitely maintained, perfect, just absolutely perfect.
The actual cemetery, it was beautiful. It was peaceful, it was restful. And I came home and told my mom they made the right decision.
On these hallowed grounds, visitors learn some of the many stories of devotion. The ABMC sites evoke universal feelings, the sense of something given that can never be taken away.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we learn our history, and those cemeteries are part of our history.
Well, the freedom that we have here in this country has been bought and paid for by people that have sacrificed everything.
They tell us why these sacrifices are relevant to us today and forever.
Sacrifice seems to spread a little bit because you realize that each soldier in these graves has a mother and a father, sisters, brothers, husbands, wives, nieces, nephews, and I would offer that they sacrifice too.
You're talking about individual human beings who gave their lives for something they thought was important.
For those who have fallen, still offer us everything they had. We can all take solace and pride in that lasting gift.
And it's brought me peace that I know more about him, and that visiting the cemetery gives me a connection.
I think he exemplifies the best of us, that he's not died in vain, but that has died defending his country.
We lost his counsel, we lost his advice, we lost his sense of humor, but we're very proud of him for what he did, for having the greater good in mind rather than just his life.
Thank God we have an American Battle Monuments Commission. We remember our dead.